Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Senate Education, Wednesday, March 13th, 1:42 in the afternoon. Secretary Boucher, we are looking forward to knowing this compromise, where everybody is, where folks are at. Just to refresh the committee's, we talked a little bit before we went online, but we'd asked that everybody, that you sort of pull together a group, as you know, see if we can get some kind of consensus. We appreciate the work you did during town meeting week and wondering where things stand. And we hope, as you know, we have to take a vote tomorrow or Friday. So the floor is yours. But I don't, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have not sent us a version of the bill, correct? Or you did?
We did, yes.
You did. Okay, fine. Okay,
And
do you know to whom you sent it?
to both you and Beth. For the record, Heather Boucher, Interim Secretary of Education. So it may have been when you were on the floor, but the version that Ms. St. James had, or that the committee put up, is the version that we're all operating under. We're on the same page. It includes the changes that we gave to Beth.
So the version that we're looking at is draft 2.1, and that indeed is the compromise language?
Correct.
Okay, so this version, and by compromise, the V's, the whole gang, we're all good on this version. Beautiful. All right, would you mind?
Yes, except for the V's do not support moving forward with the funding pilot, which we do. So that is still in this version, and that's something I guess that the committee will need to take up. But my plan, Mr. Chair, was to just walk through, first of all, just tell you a little bit about the process by which we believe that we reached consensus, and then walk through the changes to the bill.
Okay, and just to clarify, the one that we have starting on page 9 on is all funding, but you're saying that's not?
No, the feedback from the V's was that they don't support doing anything with CTE funding at this time, which.
Okay, so and I just have to push only because we're getting close to the last hour. So this really doesn't represent a compromise, correct? 2.1?
No, my point is that that isn't a compromise, because we believe strongly that we should be doing something with funding. So that's for the committee to decide.
But what we were hoping for was some kind of, even if we recognize that the other body, the House, will work on it. But in terms of right now, what we'd like to know, so we can vote and move it, what the consensus is between all of you and the V's.
Right. So I think
that's what we're looking for. And you're
telling. So I think what I'm saying is everything except that section is the consensus language.
So when you say that section, what does that mean?
The pilots, the funding pilot.
The whole section on finance, which I'm looking that up right now. Scrolling through. Yes. So section 8.
Just section 8.
Correct.
So section 9, career and technical funding update report.
That should also go, I guess, because section 9 corresponds to section 8.
Okay, so we're getting rid of section 9, correct?
Well, I don't want to, but that is up to the committee. So
yeah, so what we asked you to do, and I apologize, we're just looking for consensus right now, and I'm wondering if you could report back on consensus. So we're getting rid of 8, we're getting rid of 9. What else?
I believe everything after 8 is all contingent on 8. I'm scrolling through to find that out.
10, yeah. 11.
Yes, all of this, all of that, all of that looks to be contingent on the, yeah, it's except for section 19, I believe everything else after section 8 and beyond has to do with the funding pilot.
Okay, so just to confirm, then consensus is the first 9 sections and sections 19 and 20.
I'm looking to see what 20 is.
Effective dates.
Yeah, I mean, that will have to be cleaned up if the committee decides to move forward. And then I can walk through the changed language to achieve consensus if you would like me to for the other parts.
So again, just to confirm, we just went through this with the University of Vermont and some of their, they facilitated a similar conversation with folks. So again, we have draft 2.1. The parts that we just pulled out are non-consensus. And so the remaining part, you're telling us is 100% consensus.
According to how we did the process, yes,
Right.
which,
Right.
I mean, I guess I can't control whether any additional feedback would come back saying, no, that's not what we meant. Like, we've done our very level best to make the changes according to these.
Okay, terrific. So recognizing that when this gets to the House, a lot of things can get added, but we're out of time. So that's why we asked you to pull together a group of people just to get some consensus stuff so we could move it this week.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking.
Yep. And I think that we're in very good shape for that. Like, I just checked. And so section 8 and beyond, except for section 19, which is the position for CTE.
Yeah.
In our agency, we're still requesting. Largely the conversation was
One
around.
second, please. Senator Williams, just hand it.
Original said 8.
8's gone, right? 8's gone. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Please go ahead, Secretary Boucher.
The largest aspect of the conversation was really shoring up the section on the model policy. It was a good discussion, and this is, I'm looking up the section now. It was a good discussion because VSBA had felt that, I think rightfully so, that it was the original language was conflating implementation and the policy itself. And so our language that we have is agreed upon language that really clarifies that. So this is in section 2.
Okay.
Subsection 1547. So really the point of the model policy is, like, it says what's, it says the content, like what is the model policy on, and not how the district will do that. And so that was a good clarification. So
Okay.
in other words, there would be additional technical guidance in a typical scenario, which is what we anticipate that the agency would provide, that would say, okay, here's the policy, here's the model policy, here are suggested recommendations, which are typically not legislated. So here are the suggested recommendations for how you implement this policy. And so for VSBA and the rest of the Vs, like, that was very important, and we agreed to really clean that up.
Okay.
The Vs also recommended in section 3, which we concurred with, that we would pop out, push out the dates a little bit, similar to what we were talking about yesterday on the miscellaneous ed bill. There's a lot going on in the field. More time is necessary to really make sure the work is done on time.
Okay.
To our knowledge, no opinion about section 5. That didn't come up in our discussion. That they had one that they favored one way or the other. The only thing that I would say, back to, I apologize for this, back to section 1.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now it looks like 4 under the asterisks, kind of skips a little bit there, but it says 4. So we're suggesting that we add or equivalent virtual experience. This is to get at what you heard also from the VACTED representatives about that there's no way middle school students can all get to an on-site visit. And then one of the things that I think we forgot to tell Beth is there's some need for clarification. Does this mean, you know, a visit every grade in 6 through 8? And what we meant was that it has to happen, like this visit needs to happen either virtually or in person at least once between 6th through 8th grade. So I just, we probably need to clarify that. And maybe if we can just insert it in right now, that would be useful.
Okay.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's still a little unclear, which I think makes sense. Our intention from AOE was not that we were mandating every year that there would have to be a visit or a virtual experience, but at one point in their 6th through minimum, at one point in 6th through 8th grade, students would have access to an in-person or virtual visit.
Okay.
Maybe we could say including at minimum at least one visit to or equivalent virtual experience with the school district's regional career and technical education center across grades 6 through 8.
Yeah.
Just so we can save time in the moment.
Okay.
Is someone recording that? It's under Gulick.
yeah, got it.
We know.
Everybody,
Yeah.
Got it.
we actually talked about that, see.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I think it was just a bit of we had talked about it too, and then we noticed that it didn't make it into the final language, and I don't think that was Beth's doing. I think it was an omission on our part. But I think everything else is good to go in terms of consensus and in terms of you know, the conversation that we had. So kind of doing this backwards. Oh, one other thing. Section, let's see, section 1533, number 8. This is on my version, page 7.
Mhm.
You can see that it's highlighted there as applicable because we want to make sure that we're not, and we did talk about this, I think, in committee, not overextending DQS to entities that they don't apply to. So that's why we just put that as applicable in. It's not necessary, but like we thought it would clarify for everyone like who this really pertains to. So just wanted to note that.
Okay. Yes, Senator Shane.
Thank you. Just a question, what types of entities wouldn't qualify or wouldn't be under the DQS?
Entities that are not districts. So it would be St. Johnsbury, Linden Institute, any others in the future that would be not part of a school district or its own district. So 3 of our CTE centers are already their own district. Springfield, Southwest Vermont, and then no, we have 4 now, I think, Barry and then Hannaford. So those are already covered by the district quality standards because they are officially a district. Our comprehensive CTE centers are not districts.
Yeah.
Does that help clarify?
It does, thank you.
Uh-huh.
And then on page 8, you added, I believe, or did we, carpentry, construction, building trades? We may have added that.
I believe that that was the committee's addition, which we support. By the
So-
way, I
Yeah.
have not met with the VSC. I've tried, but that hasn't happened. So we could, I guess, take this up. I have not heard though that there's any opposition to that either.
We'll have them in one more time to have a conversation before we vote. But we just need to get something to the House. I think a lot of these things will be worked on in the House. I think the governance structure is pretty good, but they're gonna have to take some, really dig into the funding, yeah, please.
Thank you. Secretary Boucher, thank you so much for your work on this. This is great, and I feel like it's a step in the right direction. I had one quick question about the addition, the position addition on section 19. Would you say that that position is necessary even if we don't include the funding piece of the bill? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I think that there's been a lot of activity in our CTE state level work for the past few years. And I think this will just allow us to continue and do in a better way that work. So I think I mentioned the team is largely funded still through Perkins, and that limits the amount of time that our folks can work on career pathways or coordination or things like that are just things we want to do as a state and that are not part of or mandated by Perkins, the Perkins plan. So I think that we support this. Even if the funding changes aren't able to make their way into law this session.
Awesome, thank you so much. And I did just want to share with you and the committee, I was at a Burlington School Board meeting last night, and we created apparently a regional calendar. It was very exciting. I know.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, it's happening. So.
Well,
Good news.
and if I may, I think that is probably there's probably more appetite when we get down to nuts and bolts to actually do it that regional way. I do think trying to do it statewide out of the gate, I've already shared this, I think there's a chance it will just devolve into, we've tried that so many times. And so I think trying to actually encourage or mandate that it happen at the regional level is the way to go, as opposed to full statewide. But
I agree.
I don't think that's in this. I think this got taken out of this bill, but which I think we proposed because we also think it's broader than CTE, but I'm delighted to hear that. That's great.
Yeah, good news.
Senator Williams.
So I want to tell you, I appreciate your hands-on approach to dealing with this. But the only question I have is that I was told there's only one CTE position in AOE. Is that correct?
Oh, no, this would add to our team.
Right. But currently there's one on the team, right? As far as.
No, we have 3 plus a data person. So we would now have 4 staff to do, and 2 of those are fully federally funded. So this would basically mean we have half state funded and half federal. 3 are federally funded if we include the data person, but the data person isn't doing like the program stuff. They're really just collecting all the data that is required. So this would actually it's still a small team, but I think it brings it up to par with some of our other teams. We are a small agency, and I think it equals it calibrates in an equivalent way the ability to do state level and federal level work, because we have the same bandwidth for both. But no, it's definitely more than just one person. We have Ruth. Yeah, I won't go into more detail, but yeah, I think you've met Ruth, actually, who's our state CT director. So this would be another person under her. So that would be a total team of 4, including Ruth. And then there's another funded position that's in our data division that only does CTE.
Thanks very much.
Yep.
Thanks for the question, because I was not sure. For some reason, I thought this was going to really sort of kick things off. I forgot about it. Did the governor put this position in his budget?
Yes.
Yeah, I know that was a big piece of this for the administration.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So when we think about our priorities for appropriations, I think you're going to see the full-time, we're sending a full-time literacy position, and then we would send a full-time CTE position that we'll talk to appropriations about. I don't know. We held off on a library position for now. I think we'll do some more prioritization, but I think looking around, those are the 2 big things: continuing the literacy and this new CT position. Okay.
The one I can comment on publicly is the CTE position, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was what was in the governor's budget, and you know that already, so I don't even know why I'm saying that.
So the governor did not put a literacy position in?
No.
Didn't continue that, okay, so that person would, if we didn't continue literacy, that person, whose name escapes me. Emily Lesh, she would not continue in this role.
Correct, because that is a limited service
Okay.
position.
Okay. Committee, any questions about this? We'll have a new draft to just review, but this is the consensus language. My plan is we'll send it over to the House. We'll work on the financing piece, which is a pretty good division of labor, frankly. It's the governance and build the finance. Good. Great. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you. Good hard work. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank
of
you.
course. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, well, we might as well, well, we need a Yeah. If you would ask, is St. James Bell?
Do we have a half an hour?
Well, we might be able to shift a few things around.
Yeah.
This is,
Oh, you're supposed to say this.
am I taking us off or no? Yeah, sorry.